Today, we're going to be going over the Leave No Trace principles. In past videos, I have mentioned some of the practices of Leave No Trace, but really today we're going to be going over what Leave No Trace is and how every expeditionist and adventurer should practice these proven solutions when interacting with the natural world. Leave No Trace is on the mission to ensure a sustainable future for the outdoors and the planet. Probably one of the most recognizable and important things to Leave No Trace is their 7 principles. These 7 principles create a framework that people can adopt to minimize impact of the outdoors. Now, I can't articulate these principles better than Leave No Trace can, so if you want more details and examples, I recommend checking out their website at lnt.org. Now, there are 7 principles to Leave No Trace, and we're going to go over those. Principle number 1, plan ahead and prepare. Planning is the backbone to successful trip goals and minimizes damage to the land. Planning helps ensure safety for adventurers. If you go in without a plan or poor planning, campers can end up miserable or damage the natural resources. Some items to consider when planning and preparing are: determine what your goals are on this trip. Gain knowledge of the area you plan to visit with maps, land managers, and literature. Plan trips to your goals, skills, and ability. Plan for weather, the terrain, regulations and restrictions, private land boundaries, and hiking speed and food consumption. These are all things you should think about when you're planning your trip. Principle number 2, travel and camp on durable surfaces. When you're traveling in the outdoors, it's important to move through the natural areas while avoiding damage to the lands and waterways. Doing so, trampling on surface vegetation, which can lead to beyond recovery of that vegetation. Those barren areas will then lead to soil erosion and develop unnatural trails. So travel on the trails. Land management agencies create these trails to provide identifiable routes for traffic. It's important to be on durable surfaces such as sand, rock, and gravel. These are all examples for durable surfaces and can tolerate repeated use. Camp on durable surfaces. High-use campsites will generally have a designated location or spot to camp to help minimize the impact, such as gravel section with markers. When backcountry camping, you want to use your best judgment and use an area with low impact. Areas that there's more durability and less impact to the vegetation. Additionally, when you camp, you want to camp more than 200 feet from the water's edge. When breaking down camp, take time to naturalize the site. Cover the scuffed areas with native materials like pine needles. The intent is to make it look like you were never there. The more it looks like someone camped there, the more people will go there to camp in the future. Principle number 3, dispose of waste properly. Poor waste management bothers me and it is no fun for other campers when people abuse this. For human waste, proper disposal is important to avoid pollution of water sources, it avoids the effects of someone finding it, and minimizes the possibility of spreading disease. In most locations, burying human feces is the correct and most efficient method to dispose of waste. However, in some locations, solid human waste must be packed out. Land management agencies have guidelines for the locations, which ties into that first principle of plan ahead and prepare. In my experience, the best way to dispose of human waste is by burying. To bury human waste, you want to dig a cat hole. Cat holes are dug between 6 to 8 inches deep and 4 to 6 inches wide. They're at least 200 feet away from water sources. Once you are done using the cat hole, it should be buried and disguised with natural materials. If possible, locate your cat hole somewhere with maximized sunlight, which aids in decomposition. Now, when it comes to toilet paper, it depends on the location. Some places allow you to bury your toilet paper with your waste, however, other places require you to pack it out. When you pack it out, the best way to do it is stored in a plastic bag. Now, I like to use a taped up zip bag, which seals in the smell and hides the views. When it comes to tampons and feminine products, they are not to be buried and must be packed out. The best spots for urinating are on rocks, pine needles, and gravel. This helps prevent animals from digging up the soil or vegetation. Another rule of thumb is anything you bring in, you're going to bring out. Don't burn your trash. One, it might not fully burn, and also it can attract animals. Also, pick up any litter left by other guests. Basically, you want to leave the place better than you found it. Principle number 4, leave what you find. Allow other visitors to discover the rocks, plants, artifacts, and other items you may find on the outdoors. So don't take anything and don't alter anything. Good campsites are found, not made. So do not dig or alter the land to set up camp. In some locations, fire rings may have been legally constructed and dismantling those could lead to future impacts with others making their own fire in different locations. Also, avoid damaging live trees and plants. Carving into trees is unacceptable. Picking flowers is not acceptable. If anyone were only pick a few flowers, there would be none left. In national parks and protected places, it is illegal to remove natural objects. The same rule is applied to cultural artifacts found on public lands. Cultural artifacts are protected by the Archaeological Resource Protection Act, which includes pottery, arrowheads, and structures. Principle number 5, minimize campfire impacts. Fires are engraved in human culture and development, and I know a few people that would never camp without a fire. However, many areas have been degraded by the overuse of fires and increased demand for firewood. Now, camp stoves are becoming a better option for cooking instead of campfires. Some things to ask yourself before building a fire. Would the fire have the potential to cause damage to the backcountry? Is there fire danger at the time of the year or the location, say dry conditions or a drought? Are there restrictions to the area with campfires? And also, can you properly disperse the fire after use? Do you know what you're doing? Again, these are all items that point back to the previous principles. If you're going to make a fire, keep the fire small and burn only for the time you're using it. Allow the wood to burn completely to ash. Put out fires with water, not dirt. Dirt may not completely extinguish the fire. Avoid having a fire close to rocks where black scars from the flames will remain there for many years. Again, leave no trace, or no signs of use. When gathering firewood, standing trees, dead or alive, are a no-go. These trees are homes to animals, so leave them intact. Do not strip the limbs of standing trees because it removes from the natural appearance. Use small pieces of wood no larger than the diameter of your wrist, and it can be broken with your hands. When gathering firewood, gather from a wide area away from camp. You don't want to collect wood from just one area, then it's going to look barren. Don't bring wood from home. Either buy from a local source or gather it from the area. Bringing outside wood can have parasites or insects that can affect the area. When breaking down the fire, the ash should be white, soaked in water, and scattered. The fire pit should no longer resemble a fire pit and should look as natural as possible. Pack out any campfire litter. Leave nothing behind. Principle number 6, respect wildlife. Now, this should be a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised. So do not touch, get close to, feed, or pick up the wild animals. It is stressful to the animals, teaches bad habits, and the animals may harbor diseases. Remember, you are a visitor to their home. Give animals space, let them feel safe and not threatened. Avoid waterholes at night, as you may threaten animals that come out after dark. Washing and human waste disposal must be done carefully to not pollute the environment and make it hazardous for the animals that live there. Again, referencing that third principle. Principle 7, be considerate of others. Remain courteous towards other visitors. It helps everyone enjoy the outdoor experience. Some people like to listen to birds sing or the wind blow, not your music. If you want to listen to music, have earbuds or some way to listen without disturbing others or the peaceful outdoors. Now, when it comes to right-of-ways, hikers uphill will step aside and allow uphill foot travelers to pass. It is generally more challenging for people to go uphill, so you want to give them the right-of-way. Additionally, hikers will yield to equestrians, horseback riders, and cyclists will yield to both hikers and equestrians. If you are mountain biking, before passing others, politely announce your presence and proceed with caution. You don't want to startle hikers or horses because you don't know what they'll do. When yielding to others to pass, hikers and bikers should move off the trail on the downhill side. It's recommended to speak quietly to horseback riders as they pass because you don't want to spook the horses. When picking a campsite, pick a spot not visible from the trail so other hikers are not disturbed. Also, maintain control of your pets and be aware if areas prohibit dogs. Again, it goes back to that first principle of preparing. So there you have it, a brief overview of the 7 principles. So why leave no trace? Well, contrary to what many people think, park rangers, forest services, and people's mothers aren't in the natural world, so they can't look after them and minimize impact to the outdoors. Again, if we had that thought, it's only me, I'm only one person, and I wouldn't make an impact, is a foolish way to think of it. Because imagine if everyone thought that way. Let's just say 10 people over the course of a day on a single trail thought that same way. Now, in a week, 70 people would have caused damage and repeated issues to that area. More damage would have been done to wildlife, and that's just the course of people thinking they're only one person. Now, What I'm trying to say is be considerate and keep these principles in mind. Now that's it for the Leave No Trace and their 7 principles. Again, this video is more of an overview, and if you want to find more details and better examples, check out their webpage. I highly recommend people that are getting into the outdoors and that want to do camping to check out their page and learn how to be a better steward of the land. Visit their page at lnt.org. And again, like always, thanks for watching and enjoy the trails.